Hey traders from around the world, what's going on? It's me, Jeremy Alexander Newsom with the one, the only Real Life Trading. So letting you know, this might be a little bit longer of a real life stock review than normal, only because this is the last stock review that I'll be doing until this time next week. Yes, you're going to have to wait a whole 7 days for the other one. So the next stock review going to be coming out exactly the 28th of December, mostly because the real life trading rooms are closed until 2017. The 3rd of January is when we're going to be back. So taking off right at 2 weeks or week and a half of time for vacation, for the holidays. A lot of traders taking off time with their kids are out of school, which changes a lot of schedules for other traders. So we're just doing our best to accommodate. We didn't want anyone to miss the awesome action in the room, so they're closed. And obviously I'll be taking a vacation as well. I'll have other traders taking some vacations. So anyway, just let you guys all know, the next real life stock review will be coming out a week from now. And next week on Tuesday, we will be having the weekly options newsletter. So just FYI, that'll still come out every single Tuesday for those who are subscribed. I do have, really quick, while we're here talking about news, some other really big news. Two things I figured I might as well go ahead and bring up. Number one, we got the Hawaii real life meetup in Honolulu on January the 7th. If anyone wants to hop over to Hawaii to hang out with us, it's going to be at from about noon to about, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the afternoon or something on that Saturday, January the 7th. So if you're in Hawaii or on one of the islands, let me know. Feel free to email me, jeremy@reallifetrading.com, if you want to hang out on January 7th. That's just really a quick, small update. Another update, I might as well officially just announce it now. You'll be getting an email about it really soon anyway. But we will be having another free week for the trading rooms. We only do this twice in a year on the calendar year. So this year, January 9th through the 13th is going to be Enrichment Week at Real Life Trading. Enrichment Week, which means both the morning floor, the afternoon floor, and the weekly options newsletter will be free that week for every single person on planet Earth. Whoever wants access to it can sign up, can be in there, can trade with us, can hang out, can ask questions, can learn how it feels and how it looks and how it acts, the expectations that are most realistic. We can all learn those together as real life traders that week. It's going to be amazing. So you'll be getting links for that in the next few weeks, so just keep an eye out before. Really, I'll probably be sending out the links for that just the preceding days, the 5th, 6th, 7th. So keep your eyes on your inbox for that time frame. You got some time till then. I just want to update it. So if you want to carve out any time for your work schedule or any other schedules, that's going to be happening. January is also, while we're here, Extra Income Month. And I got a lot of really special events going on in January. January is going to be a big month of real life trading. A lot going on. I'll make sure to keep everyone posted for January and all that's happening on that particular month. So stay tuned for that. Pretty pumped. I think those are the two biggest announcements that I have for right now anyway. That's most of the house clearing stuff. So SPY. From the weekly options newsletter, we are triggered into some weekly calls that expire January 1st or the first week. Here's my anticipation on the SPY. I think tomorrow, this is a retest gap, right? White candle gapped up. I think tomorrow, and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but probably worst case scenario, we gap down a little bit. Say it looks a little bearish, and then we probably trade higher. If we're going to go bullish, I probably should draw that with a different color. We gap down and then trade a little bit higher. That's what I'm thinking. Probably get a little bit of a lower shadow tomorrow. That's just my guess. Volume is going to taper off this week. The stock market's closed next Monday, and I think volume is going to taper just a tad, where we'll end up forming something like this on the SPY, where we just kind of hang out and then potentially maybe trade higher. So if we're going to be trading higher coming into the end of the year, it needs to start happening tomorrow and or Friday if it's going to happen in my view of the world. So that's the SPY. Here is the DIA, the Dow Jones ETF, and the Dow, is it going to hit 20,000 before 2017? Maybe. It was a retest gap today, white candle gapping up, beautiful pennant pattern. Again, if it's going to happen, if the Dow's going to hit 20,000 before 2017, I think it needs to happen probably later this week, but more likely in the latter part of next week on the Dow Jones. Here's the IWM, which is the Russell 2000. Again, nice little pennant pattern here on the Russell at an all-time high, which of course could always turn into a double top. Only time will tell We'll see. I'm not anticipating that necessarily right now, but hey, you never know. And the Q's definitely a nice little pennant, also battling their all-time highs. This 120.50 area was the previous 2000 tech bubble all-time high. Here's the resistance and some very, very interesting things. Now, what I will mention on the SPY, I'm going to hop over here to a line chart. A lot of you have been tracking with us at Real Life Trading here for a long, long time. I'm just hide all of my drawings here. I got something interesting to share with you guys. At least I think it's interesting. So on the SPY, I kind of mentioned some indicators and some thoughts that I personally think will be preluding. Is that the term? Preluding? Some indicators that are going to come before we get a market quote-unquote crash. And to my opinion, it's not going to be a crash. It's going to be more or less just like a retracement or a potentially healthy pullback. And I do have some worst-case scenarios for that. But one of my indicators that I mentioned is going to happen before we really get a market correction or a pullback is all of the perma bears out there. And you know who they are. I'll share one with you in just a moment. People who are always bearish, those traders or those organizations or those schools or universities or people, analysts out there in the world who are just looking at trading the market and trying to call the top. Every single time we get a little bit of a pullback and they're saying, this is it, we can't go higher, 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 we can't go higher. All right, fine, I get it. We're in a bullish market. Right when they start flipping, right when you get all those emails from people who are historically and monumentally often bearish analysts and traders and looking for the top, right when they start flipping bullish, is about the time where you need to be a little concerned. So what's interesting is our boy Harry Dent, who is a pretty famed economist who is often very, very bearish, very, very bearish. He mentioned that, this according to the Market Insider, Business Insider, that the market was going to crash very, very hard. He mentioned it before the Trump rally was here, or the Santa rally, the Trump pop, whatever you want to call it. He mentioned that about 10 days ago that the market was going to crash, and now he's flipping to being bullish. So I posted on our Real Life Trading Facebook page. I was like, oh man, it's here, right? So here's an article, and here's the other article. If you want to copy it up here, economyandmarkets.com, talking about the him saying, oh man, this looks like it's the real deal. Looks like it might actually happen. So it's very, very interesting to see what happens. Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens, really, because again, he was massively, massively bearish, and now he's just simply not. So in these all-time high price ranges, that's one thing that you're going to get. You're going to get everyone, and he's not going to be the first person. The market's not going to crash tomorrow. Just letting everyone know. I mean, we might pull back some, but we're not going to go to zero. So yes, I think that the market needs at some point a correction. I personally think we're about 2 years away from it. From a big, big wave count, I'm thinking that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, and on that wave 5 we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then late 2019 potentially, when the news is bullish and everyone's bullish and everything is feeling good and everyone's like, wow, I can't believe that Trump actually did it. The economy's growing, the dollar is stronger, the American economy, everything's fine. When everything feels its best, that's usually when bullish markets start to either slow down, taper, or have a correction. And from that point, I mean, we're talking the SPY up into the 260s, the Dow probably 22,000, 23,000. And whatever retracement we do have will probably be a healthy one, right? We pull down to here. That's what I personally think would happen. Second worst case scenario is the SPY pulls down to about 188. And then third worst case scenario, and I don't think this is going to happen, but it could pull all the way down to 155, which would be about a 40% or a 40% retracement in the broader markets. Will it's going to happen? I mean, that's all theoretical. People like to speculate. What I can say is, at this particular point in time, there are some perma bears who are coming out there now talking about this is the good time for the market to be bullish and to start buying finally. So the time could be here. It could be upon us quicker than you think, potentially. So anyway, I'll be keeping an eye on it. If it ever happens, if I see it happening, I'm going to let you guys know. Don't worry. You'll hear it from here first. But I will say on the Dow Jones, this volume, this volume bar on the Dow, I don't know if it's real. Maybe it's just TradingView, but it cracks me up because it's the highest bullish volume we've had since the 2009 bottom, and it's occurring at a very, very high level. Interesting. We'll see. We got a lot of stocks to talk about. Well, another thing, I get a request about once a week from this, and again, I'm not afraid of this at all. I don't really talk about it a lot because a lot of people associate what I'm about to speak of with shadiness, pyramid schemes, multi-level marketing, illegal, illicit, bad things. Bitcoin, yeah, BTC USD. Now, Bitcoin, a lot of people don't understand it. If you don't, I suggest you really start researching it. It is a very, very strong currency, ladies and gentlemen. And I do trade Bitcoin. I have traded Bitcoin actively in the past. I've made money trading Bitcoin. I also trade Ethereum through Coinbase. If you want any information on how I do that, you can always email me. But I do trade Bitcoin, and what I want everyone to understand and know is it's not as scary as it sounds. This is actually a very, very beautiful technically traded stock. Not stock, I'm sorry, I was going to say chart. It's a very technically traded currency, and it's a cryptocurrency. But look at this just phenomenal move, and what not a lot of people are talking about is we had the bubble in 2014 on Bitcoin. I agree. It was absolutely a bubble. You can't short Bitcoin, right? You can either go long or you could trade an inverse currency. But as Bitcoin was growing, right, we trade all the way back down here to the 200 simple moving average on a weekly chart, had a triple bottom, and then started bouncing and continuing higher. Now on Bitcoin, I'll show you a chart that I published almost a year ago when I was going long on Bitcoin. I mentioned this to my good buddy Vinny Patel and Michael Longenecker and a few other really good traders and analysts and people who like cryptocurrencies. But the reason I'm bringing up Bitcoin is it's trading back up almost to its bubble highs. So the all-time highs on Bitcoin on the chart against the U.S. dollar was about 1150 and some change. So that's a big deal. We're at 821 right now. I think we could get there. I really, really do. You're going to have a strong resistance. You're going to have a hard time on Bitcoin battling that 936 area. Right now, we're probably going to be experiencing something like this. We had this peak. We trade higher. We're going to trade right now. We'll probably pull back a little bit. That would likely be a good buying opportunity. And then we probably will trade into some of these highs on a longer term level, potentially. Bottom line is I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. If you don't understand it and you say, this is garbage, cryptocurrencies are stupid, then do a little bit of research on it. Just educate yourself. I've done that a lot over the last year and a half, 2 years. And really ever since it was introduced to me by my good friend Vinny Patel and Michael Longenecker, cryptocurrencies. And once I started learning and understanding that world, it is speculative. It is highly misunderstood. I'm obviously not suggesting you take your life currency, your life wealth, your nest egg, and then dump it into Bitcoin. That's exactly not what I'm saying at all. Any kind of money I trade on Bitcoin is a very speculative position. It's not a position that I'm like, hey, if I make money on this, I can buy an island. It's nothing like that. It's like, all right, well, here's a few hundo. Let's see what happens. Let's trade it. It's a money-making opportunity just like any other market. It's just very similar to Forex. Well, there's some differences, but you guys get what I'm saying. So let me pull up the old Bitcoin chart. And I think Bitcoin is fairly misunderstood, just like the internet. Right? If you went back to 1970 and told people about the internet, people would look at you like you're crazy. Well, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. The internet back in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s had a lot of questionable, not policies, but a lot of people just didn't understand how it works. I mean, shoot, I don't even understand how the internet works right now. I can't explain how the internet works to a 7-year-old. I have no idea. It's a giant mystery how a bunch of zeros and ones can control the world. It's amazing. It's an incredibly powerful technology, but so is Bitcoin. So 10 months ago, here's my chart. I did post this through TradingView, and this is when I was starting to load up back in February, March, April of 2016 after this pullback. I did some wave counts, I did some targeting, but I was like, yeah, based on this analysis, man, my yearly target was 590. That was back from 403. We crushed that target, traded to it in June, broke out above it, and traded back to old resistances, new support, and then bounced again. So from a technical standpoint, there you go. You'll see that reacted and respected those fibs very, very well. It's easy to analyze, and it's fun to trade. So, yeah, I do trade Bitcoin. I can analyze it. If anyone has any questions about it, you can always hop over here to Real Life Trading. Who knows? Maybe in the future we'll have more information on Bitcoin. Wink, wink. So, something interesting to talk about. I know it's a little bit different, but hey, why not? So, let's go over and talk about something entirely not Bitcoin related. Let's talk about Nike, ticker symbol NKE. And Nike had some good earnings today. Not a shocker what it did today at all. It was a white candle, gapped up into a resistance. What resistance was it? The 100 simple moving average. So, it gapped up into the 100 simple moving average. White candle gapping up, retest gap, it trade down, it bounced, it retested. Nice little move on Nike. Here's the weekly chart. Looks pretty good on the weekly. It did trade down to this $50 price, which is a support level. Earnings are past. If anyone's looking at playing Nike, this is at a longer term buy low, sell high location. So just kind of keep that in mind because it does appear relatively interesting overall. So I got that one. I need to bring, let me talk a little bit about Ricky's call out on Bit Auto. So if you go back to Monday's real life stock review, I talked about BITA. Ricky over there in Australia was talking about this particular stock just simply based on really very simply support resistance. So this is a daily chart. We'll zoom it out. And here was the support level back here at about 1635 when it bounced back in February and almost bounced at the same price back in May. Well, he is in. His options up over 100% since Monday. Looking good, Ricky. He's got January position, so we'll probably hang on to that one for a little bit. His target, I would assume, is probably around this 21, 22 area if it's a January call option. But BITA, good analysis, man. Very well done. Here's another stock that had a giant gap 2 days ago. And I believe the statistic is Fred's is the third biggest drug retailer in America. That stat came out on the other day after earnings on FRED. Huge gap on this stock, and it was really kind of surprising. So something to keep in mind. I'm going to zoom out on this chart, and this is a company I don't really know anything about at all. It's very, very choppy, as you can see. But you are trading to a resistance, so just kind of keep that in mind. If you're looking at buying this particular stock, wait for it to either break out or let it trade back a little bit after that big move into this $15 price range, and then consider taking some trades on that one. Shout outs to Matt DeLong and a few other traders who were actively and profitably able to trade finish line. I didn't actually take any day trades today at all. I met with one of my real estate mentors this morning, had breakfast with him, and got back to the trading room around 10:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, and then started looking at the market and just didn't take any trades. But finish line did have a good little gap today based on the gap on Nike. So it was a white candle gapping down. So it was a bearish gap and go. However, it did gap down to a support. Right? What support level are we talking about? This one right here. I'm trying my best to draw. That's about as good as I can do on the trackpad. But yeah, it gapped down to a support level. But also, if you hop over here to a 5-minute chart, it did trap some bears, right? So when some bear traders get trapped, it's a really good time often to snag a bullish trade. But here's your inverted head and shoulders pattern on finish line. There was the trade down. There was the other shoulder. So this candle right here trapping a lot of the bears. Any of the bear traders who hopped on either here or here, they got trapped, they got stopped out. That was a pretty decent time to go long on finish line. So now on the daily chart, you have a pretty good gap, really good volume. It is a bearish gap and go, no denying that. It did happen on earnings, and it did trade right into the 200 simple moving average. So if you're looking at playing it bearish, I think Praveen was wanting to see what my thoughts were on this one. It's at the 200 from a bearish gap and go. If it's going to roll over, it needs to happen tomorrow or Friday. If we continue higher, tomorrow and or Friday, finish line likely will fill that gap. And again, here is the weekly perspective. Weekly perspective, you're running into the 2 and 100 simple moving averages this week. So the moving averages on finish line, 100, 200 simple will be pretty powerful. Keep your eyes on that one, Praveen, and watch it to see exactly how it's going to play out. Got two or three more that I want to look at. Micron Technology, ticker symbol MU, is down right now a little bit on earnings, so that's totally fine. My thoughts on Micron, I love the stock longer term, looking for a good area to buy it. I mentioned if it opened in this green box, which is above $21, I would buy calls with my eyes closed. Looks like right now it's at about 20, 26, so we're gapping down a little bit. Nothing crazy. We'll probably trap some people, but my guess on Micron is it does something like this. Trades down and then bounces off of 18-ish. Depends on where it opens. I'll be watching it tomorrow. If it opens above 21, looks good. If it opens down at 19, looks kind of bearish short term. You know, if we open below $20 tomorrow, it could also be a little bit bearish. But overall, I'll probably be looking to buy the dip on Micron Technology. Apple, of course, it's difficult for me to go a whole market review without looking at Apple. Apple is at a really good resistance, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a weekly chart. Let me just hide all of my drawings on this one. So here's my drawings. What resistance are we at? Well, this resistance from over here, this resistance from over here, this one and this one. So we are there. It is happening. So that's the little move. Here's your beautiful double bottom back in May, June when Warren Buffett bought. trades higher. That's the retest of the neckline. Trade higher, another equal pullback, but a higher low. So we're trading back up. So now my guess on Apple's, we do something like this and create another higher low on a longer term level, and then eventually potentially break out of that little pattern that looks something like that. That's my guess on Apple. Believe it or not, short term, I don't have any positions on this one. It feels kind of weird, other than the January week 120 covered call on Apple that expires in 3 weeks. Again, it's out of resistance. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one because this is also a double bottom here on a daily. And I'd really like to see Apple just kind of trade back down, something like this, and then bounce. Kind of like what I just drew on a weekly chart, but this is the daily. So that's what I'm watching, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, if you have any stocks that you want me to look at, I will be happy to do that 1 week from now. Folks, thanks for watching this Real Life Talk with you. Tell your friends, tell your family that you're meeting with Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating, wherever you are in the world. Real life trading is here. We're for real, and we're here to stay. Our mission is to enrich lives. Thanks for watching this video. You are amazing. I will see you later, and until next time, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye.